Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm so happy that you guys are here with me tonight. My name is Lacelyn Hernandez, and I am a Super Shark consultant. I've been with Scentsy now for a little bit over 4 years. And as I mentioned before, I know your guys' time is very valuable. We are at the start of Memorial Day weekend, so I know we have a lot of people that have gone out of town. Hi, Michelle. I can see you on there. A lot of people that have gone out of town, so I actually volunteered and jumped at the opportunity to be the first one, to be the very first facilitator for our first ever Bliss block party, because I was thinking, well, if this doesn't go too well, people are going to go on vacation, they might forget. They might forget about the training and all that kind of stuff. So that was my thought process, and I thought instead of waiting a couple weeks, I wanted to make sure that I got my topic and my training out of the way. And also for my team members, some of them, they're not actually, I don't see any of them on here right now. I know some of them had gone out of town for their vacation. So I hope that you guys have a great time tonight. How many of you have actually done a block party before? This is, I think this is actually my first block party even within my team. I haven't actually done one before with my team. Have you guys done one with your team before? Nope, this is your first? Well, yay. So it's a first for all of us. So that's good.
I've done Zoom with like leaders, but never with my team.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Yay, Michelle. I can actually hear you this time. I don't know if you could hear me before. Are you still with us, Michelle? I don't hear anything. It could be my internet here too. It's kind of, it's horrible. It's not the best sometimes. I see everybody else.
I can hear you.
Oh, there you are. Okay. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't interrupting you or anything. But like I said, I'm really happy and excited that you guys are here for our first ever block party. Tracy wanted to try something different. And like she said, every week and different times and different dates, there's going to be various training sessions depending on what each facilitator actually chooses. That's the topic that's going to be presented for that day or for that evening. So just a couple of housekeeping rules. If you guys have ever done the training sessions every Tuesday with corporate, as you know, whenever they have their person that's going to be facilitating, a lot of the times they can't actually see anybody. I actually like Zoom better. I prefer this method where I can see and I can hear you. I did a training session a couple months ago and I felt like I was talking to nobody because I couldn't see anybody. And I thought, well, hopefully people are still there listening. I don't really know, but I am just that type of person. I like face-to-face interaction and I really like to see and to hear people. I'm very visual, so I really enjoy this style of training. But I wanted to make mention of the monthly specials for this month. If you haven't started sharing them, it's never too late, but you do have about 6 days from today to start sharing them. So I would definitely recommend doing that. The first special that we have every month, we have Warmer and Scent of the Month, which this month is, I think it's pronounced QWERTY. I don't know if that's right. That's the warmer. It looks like a little typewriter. And then we have Cambridge, which is, where did they put it? This little, and I made samples and I should pass them out more because mine are starting to melt because it's like super hot today. Not my favorite scent, but it doesn't matter what I like, right? It's about what customers like. That's all that matters really. It's kind of more on the manly scent. But those are both 10% off for this month or while supplies last. We also have the La Habana collection. How many of you guys actually had the chance to purchase it when you got the free burlap sack? Jennifer, hi Jennifer. I see Jennifer on there. Jennifer, I think you did, right? You got to purchase it as well? Okay. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, this is it. So these are the Cuban bars. You basically get 5 for 20. But now you have the option where you can mix and match them. You just don't get the burlap sack. I do have customers that actually prefer that because some of them don't really care for the coffee scent too much or the one that smells like tobacco flower. So they are happy that they get to mix and match their scents. So that, like I said, that's still going on until the end of the month or while supplies last. Also, Father's Day bundles are still available. And like I said, even if you have people that are shopping already for holiday gifts, I know I said holiday gifts, but then, the people that are like done with their shopping early, I'm the one that's like freaking out because I'm not done. And I'm trying to figure out last minute what I'm going to buy people. So that's always a great opportunity to shop and to save, is with the Father's Day bundles, the Mother's Day bundles, which they are still available. And like I mentioned, all of them are while supplies last. So definitely try to push the, what's that word? There's a word that I was thinking of. I always like to push that it's like they're exclusive, but that there's basically a time frame that it needs to be ordered by, or else they're not going to get it. Because if you guys had a chance to participate in the brick sale last month, there were a lot of sad people who missed out on that sea salt and avocado. But what I like to do is I tell people, you know what, here's the PWS. This is the best way to guarantee that you're going to get any of those items that are on special for that month. If you don't purchase it through the PWS and I don't have a party that goes in time, I can't guarantee that you're going to get it. And I don't want to lose out on the sale, but I also don't want to lose out on a potential customer as well, if that makes sense. And last but not least, I wanted to make mention of, I hope you guys are all registered for Reunion. I saw that Tracy did post that today. The last date to get registered is June 2nd. So that's like what, next week, Friday, I believe. That's coming up quick. That's a week from today. And I believe the price has gone up to $300 now. It was $250 for the first couple weeks or the first month. So like I said, if you're in the KC metro area, or if you can get yourself here in July, it's going to change your life. It did for me. It changed my business big time. It's one of the many factors that contributed to where my business is now. So definitely make sure that you guys get registered and get yourselves there if you have not done so already. Okay, so now just a little bit about myself. I'm going to share a little bit about my Scentsy story, and then I'm going to go into the training. Because as you can see behind me, I don't know if you guys can see behind me, my window is open and it's sunny and whatnot. But I did a small little setup because I love, love, love home parties, which is what, which is what our topic is for our training tonight. And see, I'm branded. Everywhere I go, I always have something Scentsy related or whatnot. But first of all, just a little bit about myself. I've been a consultant now for a little bit over 4 years. I was actually not a customer before I ever joined. I actually joined on a whim. I borrowed a warmer and some wax from my sponsor, who was a longtime friend. And I think it was once I had to give it back, I realized that I kind of needed it. You know what I mean? Like something was missing. Something that smelled good besides baby stuff, because my son was 1.5 at the time. So I was like, oh my gosh, there's something missing in this house, and I think it's the Scentsy stuff. And I had already had kind of made the decision before telling my husband that I was going to join, that I was going to join. Like I already made the decision. It was just getting to the point of how to tell him that I was going to do it. And so I remember one day he came home, and this was right before I had given back the warmer, and I said, hey, I was kind of wondering, what your thoughts are about this candle thing or the warmer stuff. Like, what do you think about it? And he's like, well, it's nice. It smells good. And I said, okay, good, because I'm actually going to be joining. And he's like, what? Like, what do you mean you're going to be joining? And for most of you who don't know me, if you're not one of my downline team members, like I said, I've gotten to know some really tremendous people in this business. And a lot of times that's what we kind of miss out on, is sharing our story and sharing our background, because I think a lot of times you'll be able to connect why somebody does the things that they do in their business and versus other people. Do you know what I mean? So I decided to join, and I was a little bit crazy at that time for doing it at the time that I did. I was a newly stay-at-home mom. So I was really trying to find a way to get out, to meet people, and to earn extra income. And I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with Scentsy, because that same summer, I already had an internship I was supposed to be doing at Children's Mercy. And I was supposed to be starting at UMKC to finish up a couple of nursing programs. And then in the fall, I was going to be applying for the accelerated nursing program. So I had a huge plate that was completely full, but I just kept adding more things to it. Like, who does that? Nobody, right? Nobody in their right mind would do something like that. But for me, I just thought, you know what? I don't have a whole ton of money to buy Scentsy, but I love it. I love it so much that I think I want to try it. I want to at least host a couple parties so that I can get my stuff free and half off. Well, something happened in my personal life, and it really transformed my personal life and also my business. Within the second month that I was a Scentsy consultant, my husband and I, we were homeless. We weren't living with my family, but we were living in a hotel. And not many people know that. I don't really always share that with people, but I feel like that's an important thing for me to share with you guys, because you guys are my Scentsy family. And like I said, a lot of you guys know me, but sometimes when you share what's personal, what means a lot to you, it makes more sense. So within that second month, my husband and I were living out of a hotel. And I remember very, very vividly, she did a challenge for that month. And she said, I have this special challenge. If you get 500 PRV in this month, I'm going to enter your name into a drawing. And, that was that. And so she had set up the challenge, and I was living out of a hotel room, and I was thinking, you know what, I can do this. And so what she said to do is to get a sheet of paper, write down 500 PRV at the top every time you got an order or every time you made a sale, to just subtract it every single time. And when I got to the very bottom, and I think that month I made 578 PRV, and that was my second month in, and I was really excited. I didn't win whatever the prize was, but that didn't matter. I was really excited at the thought that I knew that I could do this, because I thought if I could do this with the situation that I'm in, where I'm at, there's no excuse of why I couldn't do it anywhere else. Do you know what I mean? So, like I said, I was excited. And from that point on, I started thinking, you know what, how can I make Scentsy my full-time gig? How can I do this instead of just doing this as a little hobby? So what I did was I started thinking about sponsoring. And from sponsoring, I started doing more home parties, because I wanted to extend my inner circle of people. Because as a stay-at-home mom, well, if you guys know anybody that is, or if you are one yourself, or dad, you know that your circle of friends starts to dwindle when you're not working outside of the home. And I started to really feel that. I really felt like, oh, I'm missing that connection with adults, because I'm with my son all day. And I mean, after you watch Bubble Guppies, Disney and all that kind of stuff, they're great. But as an adult, you're like, OMG, I need to get out of here. I need me time. So I started using my home parties as a way to get myself out of the house and to really start focusing on what it is that I wanted to do in this business. So that brings me to the topic of the home parties. Now, the reason why I chose this topic is because I asked the question on the event, and I've noticed that a lot of people they either don't do home parties, they do maybe 2 or less a month, or maybe there's always, issues with hosts that might not always have the time to host the home parties, or even consultants themselves. If you guys have kids or school or, work, that kind of thing. So that's completely understandable. But what I want to make mention of is that is exactly what transformed my business from a hobby to an actual business. Home parties is what really did it for me, because at that time, when I first started, we just had one car. So I was like, okay, what do I do? And not even the one car situation, but we moved. So I didn't know anybody. We moved to Kansas. I had no friends, no family here. My way to the outside world, I did a lot of social media, Facebook parties. I did a lot of bag parties where I mailed bags to other states, to friends, to family, anybody and everybody that would help me. When I started to establish my business, that's when I started to think about home parties. And the reason why I like to talk about home parties a lot, and why I really, really stress doing them, is because in the summertime, and you guys have probably experienced this too, but I hear from a lot of people, not just my downline or my team, but a lot of other consultants, that there seems to be a lapse in sales and a lapse in people joining their team. Because once school's out for summer, which if most people have kids, they're like, well, people go on vacations or they get busy and they don't want to host, which I can tell you is somewhat true, but not completely true. you're always going to, it's just like finding the right people to actually, you know, actually want to spend money with you or purchase from you. There's always going to be somebody that wants to host a party. Okay, so I don't know what happened to my screen. I hope you guys can still see and hear me. But with the home parties, now the reason why I love home parties is because you can interact with your customers face to face. I feel like a lot of times when it's a bag party or if it's a Facebook party, they don't get to interact with you as much. And a lot of times I think people have questions, but they don't want to ask the questions because either they're afraid or, you know, sometimes when you're at the home parties, they can sit back. They can just kind of take in all the information that you're sharing with them. They don't really have to put themselves out there, so they feel comfortable. Okay, so that's one of the many reasons why I think home parties are really great. Now for the summertime, now we have a lot of things coming up for next month, different specials. That's something that I always like to incorporate into my home parties. I like to have some kind of a theme. Now I allow my hosts to pick the themes, but when I'm contacting my hostesses and I'm doing, let's say, my booking blitzes, if you haven't done a booking blitz, it's basically where you can team up with somebody or even, you know, a number of people on your team, and you have, let's say, 30 minutes to an hour to contact as many people as you possibly can within that time frame to book your parties. So what I always try to do is, well, I also majored in psychology too. So my mind is always constantly thinking. Do you know what I mean? I'm always thinking of, okay, how could I do something better? How could I convince somebody that this option is better than this option? Well, here's how you do it. First of all, if you want somebody to do a home party or what we call now an on-location party, that has to be like the first thing that you offer. Okay, because usually the last thing that, if you offer it last, sometimes people will say, okay, well, no, I'll just do the first option because you offered it first. So it's really, like I said, sometimes it is psychological, you know, to get them in thinking in that way. So I always say to my customers, I know that you're extremely busy. If let's say they're a mom or dad and they have kids that are in sports, or, you know, they're on, like I said, they have summer vacations, I always try to, I'm going to convince them, but I'm going to do it in a way that's going to suit them. It's personalized to them, right? So let's say I have my friend Tina and I say, okay, Tina, I know that you're a super, super busy mom. I know your kids are involved in sports for the summer and that you guys travel a lot, but I was wondering, you know, do you have any time in your schedule possibly to do an on-location event or an on-location party with me? Now, the reason why I ask it that way is because when they come back sometimes and they say to me, well, I'm really busy, I'm not sure I have time in my schedule, maybe we should do either bag party or Facebook party, right? My whole reasoning behind why I tried to convince them to do the on-location party is because if they are really busy, then I say to them, well, you know what? Think about this. Let's say we spend a day or an evening at your house, and let's say you gave me like 2.5 hours or 2 hours to actually come to your house to do a small setup, like how I have here in the back. And it's, you know, I pretty much have everything set up. I do the presentation, we play games, which you have to play games because it's super fun. It keeps people engaged. That's another thing. Like I said, if you do Facebook parties, you can't really engage with your customers. It's hard. When we're laughing like we are live, you're not laughing. You know what I mean? Like on Facebook, sometimes people aren't even on. So that's another thing too. See, now I just lost my train of thought. But with the home parties, like I said, when they say to me, oh, you know, I'm trying, so like they're really busy. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say, okay, if you give me 2 or 2.5 hours of your time, I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to do a really quick setup. I'm going to, you know, we're going to play games. I'm going to present these products to your friends and your family members. And then I'm going to take orders and we can see where we get you as far as host rewards go. Now, sometimes when you walk it through their mind that way, when you say, okay, then they think about it. Okay, it's only going to take about 2 or 2.5 hours. It's not an entire day. I don't have to take a bag with me and have it for like a week or 2 weeks. And basically when they have the bag party or Facebook party, they're having to really engage with their friends and family. Do you know what I mean? They're having to be the ones to go out to connect with them, to say, hey, you know, would you like to order? I'm hosting a party, this and that. But if they just invite them to the on location, even if they can't make it, I always open an online link so that they can shop that way too. Okay. And if you've never done a home party before, my challenge for this upcoming month, for the month of June, is to book at least minimum 2. And if you can try to get it within the first 2 weeks of your month, I basically like to call it, we think of that as front loading, because if somebody were to cancel, you always have the end of the month or the mid-month to be able to reschedule within the same month. Now, how you do the home parties, it's really, really simple. I think a lot of times we get flustered in the idea of what is it that I'm going to have to do? And sometimes it's not in people's comfort zone to be able to get out and to, stand in front of somebody, complete strangers that they don't know, and share their Scentsy story. And they're like, oh my gosh. And then sometimes, of course, if you're a brand new consultant, people kind of freak out about not having everything. Well, I don't know if you guys can see my setup here. I'm just going to kind of pick up that. So that's my setup. I mean, look at that. It's like super small. And that's exactly what I just did a home party last Saturday. That's what I took to my home party. I have a Scentsy suitcase that I take my backpack, and that's about it. I don't like to overwhelm people with a whole bunch of product. I do a lot of events too, and I heard from customers that they feel like when they can see things, with great distance, they're a lot more prone to coming over to my table or even to asking me questions or making a purchase. A lot of times when there's too much clutter, they feel very overwhelmed and they're not sure where to start. And sometimes that kind of steers them away from even, coming over or even talking to me. So I like to take, like I said, just maybe one of everything. That's kind of what I like to do. Whenever my customers walk in the door, the first thing that I give them is, I have these lap boards. So this is basically just a folder, like a binder, old binders that my dad gave me. He works for the school district. So all I did was I just got these, I just cut them in half. And then since I do games at almost every party that I host for the on location parties or home parties, I just have a sheet of paper there because we usually start out with the game when they come in. I always like to include the join brochure, because when I start sprinkling in little parts of my Scentsy story, I like for them to be able to have this so that they can look at that. I don't really go too much in detail about it, but I kind of sprinkle things in because I want them to feel comfortable in asking me questions toward the end if they had any questions about it. And I've done it different ways before, but this is the best way that I have found that's worked for me, because I don't want to waste, we all have to purchase the business materials, and I don't like to waste the business materials by giving out catalogs, for example. And if somebody marks it up, or they mark it up, but then they don't want to take it, well, now I have to give it to somebody else that, hi, Stephanie. Now I have to give it to somebody else that basically has to look at it when it's all marked up. So what I do is I actually take the product sheet. So that's also in the lap board. So they have a product sheet. Now the product sheet is for them so that they can actually mark up on this. Okay, so when we get to the point in our party where they're smelling their fragrances, guess what? They can mark it all down there. They're not marking up a catalog or having to write things down on a sheet of paper, and then they forget sometimes where they put their sheet of paper. So that's in there. Also, I always like to include the showcase brochure, which I know this is super big, but I mean, you'd be surprised. Some people actually, they prefer this because like everything is way bigger. Now, I know you're probably wondering, well, why don't I include an order form, or why don't I include a Scentsy catalog? There's a couple reasons for that. Like I said, I'm a psychology major, so I am always thinking of how I can get people more engaged, and also how I can get them more comfortable in the idea of purchasing Scentsy if they've never done so before. So what I do after we play, usually after we, I like I said, I sprinkle in my Scentsy story, we play our games, and normally what I do is I kind of, because I have such a small setup, this is the easiest way that I like to do it. I just basically talk about some of the products that are on the table. So I go from one end to the other. Makes it really simple. I don't have to memorize anything. Some people, like I said, that freaks them out, having to memorize a lot of different things. And then they're just like, okay, too much information to have to do it. And then they, it's out of their comfort zone. So if it's easier for you to do it that way, where you have a small setup and you can just go from one end of the table to the other, talk about those products, that's exactly what I do. Now, when they walk in the door, aside from the lap board, I make samples. So every time anybody comes to my parties, they'll get samples. I have a business card in there. I also have some mini testers. I have some skin line products, and I'm going to expand on that here in a little bit. But So that's kind of what I do. Like I said, once they walk in the door, those are the items that they're getting. And of course, we have conversations because most of the time I don't know the customers that are coming through the door. So I like to kind of listen into their conversations, and I want them to be comfortable, and I want them to be relaxed if they have any questions for me. So now I know you're probably, if you can see the display that I had on the table, I also posted a picture in the event. I wanted to mention, I don't have any testers up there, if you see that also. And I also don't have everything. I started doing something really different with my home parties. So after I kind of, we play our game and everything and they get comfortable, that's when I actually take out the testers. So I have my testers here, they're stacked, they're organized and everything ready to go. And that's when I allow them to start smelling it. Now, once they do that, that's usually when they say, hey, you know what, I think I know what I need, I want to order. Do you have an order form? So I will usually sit down with my customers, and I try to sit down with each and every one of them if at all possible. Of course, if it's a bigger party, sometimes that's hard to do that. But I like to sit down with them, and I like to help them to fill out the order form, because I want to make sure that they're filling out the entire top portion of it, so I can make sure I stay in contact with them when I do my follow-ups. Also, this is the time when I share with them about our combine and save specials, and I actually show them an actual catalog. Because a lot of times, like I said, they already know that what they're wanting to purchase, but many, many times I have found that they do not have any idea about the combine and save specials. That always kind of shocks me, especially if they've been purchasing Scentsy for a long time. Okay, does anybody have any questions? I want to make sure that I'm not going too quickly for you guys, but I wanted to share a couple more things, but I wanted to ask if you guys open it up for questions really quick, if you guys had anything about what I have shared so far. Anybody? And I was going to say, if you want to ask a question, you can just, if you're not muted, you can unmute yourself. Feel free to do so. But if there's no questions, I'm going to continue on. Okay, so I did make mention about the samples. So in here, the sample bags, I actually have the skin products, those samples. Now, the reason why I don't actually put everything up on the table, like I said, I started doing something different. And this is a way for me to be able to get more bookings. And I actually got the idea from somebody that did a Tuesday training I think it was a couple months ago. So she had mentioned, that's the thing, when you're in Scentsy for a little bit, you have to think of different ways to actually to expand your customer base, but also to sometimes get your friends and family and people who have hosted with you before to actually host again. You know what I mean? Like there has to be something in it for them, but sometimes it's the way that you present the idea to them. So what I started doing is when I do my normal Scentsy parties, okay, I've actually presented, because when I have my little game and whatnot, usually once they're done putting in their orders, that's where I kind of bring out, so I usually have 2 envelopes. In the envelopes, I've got 2 different things that can happen. One recently was a spring Scentsy clean party, and then the other one was ladies night out. Okay, and you can, like I said, you can tailor the topics to whatever is going to fit your customers, or like I said, you know them best. So what I did was I took these envelopes to a recent party, okay? And in order for me to book parties, I thought, okay, my goal every time I have a home party or an on-location party is that I'm gonna book at least a minimum of 2. Okay, that's my personal goal. It doesn't, like I said, yours could be 1 if you want it to be. And a lot of times, even when we have goals set for ourselves, sometimes things just don't work out that way. I know somebody on the event page had mentioned that, and I can't remember, I responded to her, but I can't remember, I think it was Dawn, possibly, but she said that, she's having a little bit of a hard time trying to get bookings and possibly getting sales. So this is just another way, like I said, to expand your customer base and also to expand your bookings. So what I've done at these parties with these envelopes is I will make mention, I'll say, hey, everybody, before everybody gets ready to leave, I want to first thank you guys all for coming today, but I also have some special rewards that I'd like to gift to a few of you if you guys are more than willing to host with me. And a lot of times people are confused because they're like, well, what do you mean by hosting? And like I said, I usually present on location, on the go, which is the back party, or online, which could be Facebook or whatever social media or online method that you guys prefer. Okay, so like I said, just recently, somebody picked the envelope and it said, Congratulations, you'll be hosting a spring cleaning party at your home. And because they decided they wanted to do it on location, they did it at their home. And in the fine print at the bottom, it said, when they host a qualifying party, which means they had to host a $200 party, that they would basically get a little gift basket for myself. So my friend that did the spring cleaning party, I gifted her. I let her choose one of the items. She chose, I believe it was Counter Clean, but it was in Sunkissed Citrus. So she chose that. And that's kind of one of the reasons why, like I said, I don't have everything set up, because I'm basically setting the tone for my next parties to happen by bringing and introducing these other products that are not on the table. I'm going to be introducing it and focusing on those at those specific parties, if that makes sense. Like I said, you would be very surprised how many people will say, well, yeah, are you going to come and clean my house? No, we don't clean your house. This is just, like I said, it's just a way to introduce and to focus our attention specifically on these items. Because that's another thing too, you have a lot of customers, possibly, if you guys have been with Scentsy for a little bit, that have purchased Scentsy wax and warmers forever and a day. And some of them will even tell you, they'll say, like I said, I hear it all the time when I do events, when I do home parties, even Facebook parties, people will tell me, I did not even know that there were other products aside from wax and warmers. Now, if you guys are experiencing that, like I said, this is a great time to start booking those home parties so that you guys can share with them some of these products up front and in person. So, like I said, the spring cleaning party was very successful. I just had a ladies' night party. That one was not as successful. My host did reach qualifying, and that was the downside to it. Nobody showed up for my last host. So sometimes that can happen, but I don't want you guys to get discouraged about the thought of that happening. The best thing that you guys can do for yourselves is to prepare yourselves. It doesn't matter for me if I have 10 people that RSVP and say that they're coming, or if I have 2 people that RSVP and say that they're coming. I do my setups the same way that I would do whether it's a big or a small crowd. I have had a lot of success with home parties, even ones that have had 4 people or less. I remember I did a party last year and I had 3 people that showed up. It was my host, her mom, her aunt, and that was about it. And she was very hesitant about continuing on with the party. She did call me and she said, hey, I'm not really sure that it's going to be really successful. I don't want you to feel like you're wasting your time. That's the thing, guys, okay? And I stress this a lot to my downline. Our job as consultants is not to make the decision for people on whether or not they're going to host or whether or not they're going to join. Our job as consultants is to present the idea, present the products, present the opportunity to them, and it's their ultimate decision whether or not they're going to decide that they want to do either one of them, okay? So we can't make the decision for anybody, and I think sometimes that we do. As consultants, we keep ourselves from growing in this type of business because we automatically will look at somebody and we will say, you know what, that person's got way too much on their plate. They've got kids, they've got all these things going on, they're really busy at work. I don't think I'm going to ask them to host or to join my team because they're really busy. Well, that happened for me, and I can tell you, my sponsor, if she would have saw me in that same light, knowing even that I had so much going on in my personal life, where would I have been today? You know, where would we be right now? Definitely not training with each and every one of you here tonight. So, like I said, that is an opportunity that we should give and allow to every single person that we meet. What did I want to make mention of? I don't know if there was anything else I wanted to make mention of that I felt like it's really important. But if you guys are wondering how to actually book these parties, if you guys have not created your list of 100, like I said, I'm 4 years into this, and I went from having a sheet of paper list of 100 to doing mine on Excel spreadsheet, because for me, I'm always on the computer. I'm more hands-on with technology, and I just feel like with this, you know, the way that the world is changing, it's so much easier for me to access my list of 100 right off of my cell phone or through Google Docs, that kind of thing. But it's also easier for me too, when I'm going through my list of 100 and let's say somebody says no to me, I'm basically, you know, I'm able to mark it off that way, and then I will follow up down the road. Okay, so I don't want you guys to give up. Like I said, if you guys have had bad experiences with home parties, like I just had one, you know, the same thing happened with my host. She said to me, you know, I feel really bad that you showed up. I feel like I wasted your time. And that's the thing, guys. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs in this business, but if I would have allowed that to in any way affect the way that I'm running my business now, I would not still be a Scentsy consultant today. Because that's the thing, and you know, no matter what you do in life, you have to take the good with the bad. A lot of times those things that happen to us, it's happening to us. And it's not, and like I told my host, it's not a reflection of you, it's not a reflection of me. Sometimes it is just the way that things happen, but you know what, we have to keep pushing forward. We have to keep moving our business forward, because if we continue to focus on the negative, there's no way that we're going to be able to grow ourselves and to grow our inner circle to where we want it to be. So that's basically my training for tonight. I hope you guys have learned a lot. I am going to open it up. I know I had it set for 8:30, but what do you know, I'm just thinking, okay, I pretty much have shared everything that I needed. I really want you guys to be able to have this time to conversate with one another too. And like I said, if you have questions, you can turn on your audio. Feel free to turn on your cameras. We would love to see you. Like I said, this is a block party. So, you know, if you don't have a chance to come to the meetings, if you're not here in the KC metro area, I'm really looking forward to more block parties like this, because I think you guys will get a lot of good training, a lot of good tips. And like I said, even being in this business for as long as I have been now, every time I see a Tuesday training call, it's exactly like when I'm preparing for tonight's topic. When I see something that I'm like, okay, I'm pretty good at that, I don't think I need to hear anything about it. You know what? We learn something new every single day. And a lot of the times when I get on those Tuesday training calls, I'm really happy. I'm happy that I listen to it, because I always take little nuggets of information and then I learn from that and I apply it to my business. And sometimes even doing something very small and tweaking something very small in your business can make a tremendous difference in your sales, in your sponsoring opportunity. I can tell you now, I'm not the best sponsor ever. Like I can kill it in sales, but when it comes to sponsoring, I'm still working on that. You know, that's not like my forte, but that's something that I'm definitely planning, you know, I'm hoping and planning to get better at. So I hope you guys have learned a lot, but right now I'm just going to open it up to questions. I hope you guys have some for me. I'd love to hear them, or even your feedback. If anybody has anything that they want to add to anything that I made mention of tonight. Jennifer, I see you smiling. You must have something to say. I can't see everybody on here. I wish we could. I'm not sure how to expand it. Maybe, oh, here we go. There we go. Now can everybody see each other? I wish I would have opened it up that way before.
I think I keep having an unstable connection on my end, so everybody keeps freezing up. But thank you for being the first host.
Oh, you're welcome. And who is this that's speaking? I can see you, but I don't think I don't see your name.
Michelle.
You can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, Michelle. Okay. It's funny because on the screen, somebody else was talking. Another person was talking, but then I don't know. That was weird. Sorry, Michelle. I should recognize your voice by now. I was like, wait, I can't see you. Okay, I've got the view open. So thank you so much for joining. I appreciate your time too. I know you guys are busy, and like I said, with the start of this Memorial Day weekend, I just thought, you know what, this is a good time to do some training and hopefully to get you guys like excited for the summertime. Like, who's excited for the summertime? Do you guys feel like it's like, or you're going to work on it now? You're going to start working toward it?
Oh, I'm busy in the summer a lot. But yes.
That's good. And what's your name?
I'm Dawn.
Dawn, okay. That's great to meet you, Dawn. I don't see your name on there, but I see you're on the Galaxy. So I was trying to wonder who was on there before. Welcome, Dawn. We're excited to have you with us.
Well, thank you. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm up in my office area too because my daughter's downstairs. It doesn't matter where I go in this house. She finds me. Yeah. She's like that. She has to have a mama all the time.
Sorry. I have 5
Okay.
sons.
You're okay. This is the great thing about having the Zoom session is that we can see and hear each other. I think a lot of times people are like very, when you're, for example, when you're on the Tuesday training call, and you don't have to be seen or heard, people are just like comfortable and they're wearing whatever or nothing or whatever, you know what I mean? And then their house could be messy and their kids could be crazy. And then now it's like, okay, well, like this room is probably the only clean room in my house. Everything else is like, we're still moving stuff in, trying to get settled. And I'm like, all right, everybody go outside. Don't touch my stuff. It's just like that, but hey, that's life. It happens to all of us. It does.
Yeah. You have a tan one.
No, I don't. Remember
that your audio is unmuted. Did you have some, or were you wanting to say something?
Can I mute it? Is there a way to mute it?
There should be. You're on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Let me see. I think I can do it on my end. Hang on. Let me. Oh, there it is. You did it. Jennifer?
What?
Oh, there you are. Okay. Did you have something that you wanted to share?
No, I'm just listening.
Oh. You're just unmuting just because.
Just in case I felt like saying something.
So Jennifer is one of my downline, and she's one of the only ones that have joined us, but I know some of the others are, like I said, heading out of town or we're on different time zones, so I know that they're going to be able to catch the recording, which it's a good thing it's being recorded. Like I said, these types of meetings, we're not always going to be able to catch everybody, but if they can at least catch the recording, I think it's going to be very beneficial for them. Did anybody else have anything else that they wanted to share? If not, like I said, I want to be respectable of your guys' time, and I will let you guys have the rest of your evening if nobody has anything.
Excuse me?
No.
Yes.
Can you guys get some Harley Davidson ones? Because that'd be pretty cool.
Who is?
Sorry.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's Dawn. I'm trying to look at so I have the view set up to where I have everybody on the screen at one time. And I see a couple of people that are unmuted, so I have to actually look at your screen to see if your mouth is moving to see.
No, I'm off to the side.
It's my son. He's asking about warmers. He doesn't understand you guys don't have control over that.
Yeah.
He wants to do a Harley Davidson thing.
Ah. Yeah, we did have a warmer that allowed you to customize not too long, like a couple years back. But it's not the same, of course.
Well, we still have a make a scene warmer.
Yeah, that's true.
So you could do a Harley Davidson one in there, which is what I would suggest to a customer, right? Because you can pretty much put anything in there. You can get the little cake top decorations and put that in there. I mean, crafty people could be into that.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Did anybody else have something that they wanted to share? I see some of you who are unmuted. Feel free to just shout out and say that, yeah, I have something I want to mention or something I want to add. Amanda, are you Amanda Kraft? I can see that you're speaking, but I can't really hear you. Can everybody else hear her? Or is it just me? No. I can't hear anything on her end. Amanda, can you speak up? Are you using a computer or a cell phone?
Yeah, cell phone.
Oh, there you are. Okay, great. I can hear you now.
Okay. I have trouble booking home parties, period. First off, since he's not very popular here, it's kind of a new wave thing.
And where are you located?
In Georgia.
Oh, okay.
And is there certain things or I didn't know if you had like any tricks or magic to get home parties, to get them booked.
Parties? Well, I don't have any magic, but I have lots of tips. As far as booking home parties, now, do you currently, how do you actually book your parties? Any of your parties? Do you make phone calls? Do you send text messages or Facebook messages, email? Sorry, that was my garage door. I don't know why that went up. Amanda, are you still with us? Can you hear me now, Amanda?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you actually book any of the other parties that you do, and how do you contact your customers?
I do a combination of a little bit of everything: texting, messenger, Facebook, face to face. I mean, there's not one specific way I do it.
Okay. And so I'm trying to think here. Okay, so you have various methods that you use to contact your customers. Do you actually keep track of, like, do you have your list of 100 that you actually use when you're contacting your customers?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's good. That's good that you use your list of 100. What I would do, usually what I started doing when I wanted to start booking home parties versus just the options of online or, bag party options, I would always, how I offered sometimes, and like I said, it's not feasible for everybody to do. A lot of times people come into this business like I did because I needed extra income aside from the me time. So a lot of times when you're saying, okay, if we can offer something to our customers to get them to book, then they might do it. But even something as small as like how I give out these bags at parties, all it has is a business card, wax, like little wax testers, just some samples from the skin line. Even giving something small as that, sometimes, like I said, that will draw people in to actually wanting to host a home party. Now, and that's why I said it doesn't have to be anything big that you give to them. I have found even giving like a $5 voucher, but a lot of times what I stress to them too is if they're going to get the little prize or whatever it is that I'm going to gift to them, that we have to make sure that we have a qualifying party. So it has to be at least a $200 party, because what happens is when you start giving away all the freebies and whatnot, for example, when I'm at parties and if I tell people, hey, if you book a party with me, sometimes what happens is they book the party so they can get the freebie at the party. Do you know what I mean? And then they end up canceling and they never follow through with it. So what I started to do at that point is, that's why I made mention to it, like when I have envelopes, for example, to book parties. At the very bottom is my little disclaimer that says that they need to host a qualifying party of $200 or more in order to get whatever the freebie it was that I had listed on that voucher. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think for your situation, if like I said, like I mentioned the challenge in the beginning of the video, if there's any way at all possible to take out your list of 100, and even with this being Memorial Day weekend, a lot of people have Monday off. I would even start even tonight and say, hey, you know what? I've been challenged to book, let's say, whatever your minimum that you want it to be, 3 to 5, 1 to 3 home parties for the month of June. And I would really love it if you could help me out with the challenge. And then that's when you can make mention about if you're deciding to give away something for hosting the party with them. And sometimes you have to also make mention of how the party is going to take place. A lot of times I have found customers or hosts that have never hosted any type of party before. And sometimes we as consultants just assume that they know. But if we take it step by step with them and kind of explain to them, okay, if you host your, when you do a home party, I'm going to basically bring everything. I do the setup, I share the products and the information. Your job and your responsibility is to provide your customers with either an invitation or maybe a Facebook event you guys set up together to get them, to come out to the party. And I always leave it up to them on whether or not they want to have appetizers or food. I don't want people to feel like they have to do those things, because sometimes that is a factor that stops people from wanting to do the home party, is that they feel like, well, I don't want to have to clean my house, or I don't want to have to cook for people. So that's an option that I always leave open to them, depending on, like I said, their situation. Did that kind of help to answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
You're welcome. Did anybody else have any questions or anything that they wanted to add?
I was going to say something.
Oh, go
This
ahead,
is
Stephanie.
I just actually had a contest with Amanda for nose. And one of the ways that I think I booked a couple of my parties, because as I was focusing on home parties, because they've been really lacking for me in the last couple months. I've been having a hard time with them. So I started offering for them to do them at my house. So they don't have to clean their house. They don't have to worry about, you know, being the host in the sense that everybody's coming to their house, but instead show up at my house. I do all the cleaning. If there's going to be food, I'm going to provide it. But it also gives me the opportunity, all of the stock and inventory that I have at home is now cash and carry for that host's party. And I find that people like to buy more when they can see more. So that might be an option too, is offer to have it at your house as opposed to making them clean their own house.
That's true. That's true. And I like that option too. And that's a great point that Stephanie makes because, well, we just bought a house. So before I lived in an apartment and I was like, I will do it anywhere except for my apartment because I'm like, there's not many people that can fit in here. But now that I have a house, I'm like, you know what? If you want to use my house, the formal has no furniture, let's do it. You know, I'll set everything up. You can invite your guests. I'll even provide the food if that's something that, you know, they don't want to take care of. But I really like that idea about offering your home up or even to have it. Like I know some people have had it at locations that's not in a home. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you can go to like sit down restaurants or places where they have like small back rooms or even, I know there's like parks and that kind of thing that you can use too if people don't feel like using their home and they just want to get some fresh air and get out. But that's a really great option too. And that's something that we should always be offering our customers in case, like I said, they're hesitant to do something at their house. Because I know sometimes people don't want to give out their address, which is why they're like, no, I don't want to do one because I don't want people to know where I live, which sounds crazy because you're like, it's your friends and family, but hey, it's their preference. So, but that's a good idea. I like that idea too. Anybody else have anything that they wanted to share?
I kind of did, but then I kind of get stage fright too.
Oh, Jason, you're good.
And I'm supposed to be doing a block party here in a couple weeks. So, I just kind of had a little bit to add on that. Who does what?
No, I said, well, you're getting over that fear now, aren't you?
I'm trying to. One thing I kind of had to add with the people not knowing about Scentsy is maybe you could talk to your customer and say, hey, contact 20 people that you know and ask them if they know about Scentsy. And if they don't know about it, ask them, would you like to learn more about it? Or have them ask their friends and family, would you like to know more about it? I can have somebody come over and show us how it works. It's really cool. It smells good, you know, and that could turn into a party right there, you know, and just a demonstration of how it works.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that work a couple of times.
That's a great idea. That's a really great idea. I like that. I like that idea a lot. Like how you said, you know, sometimes you just have to ask them, like, would you be interested? Because a lot of times you will find people that they're like, what's Scentsy? And you want to come and do what at my house? And, you know, it's just, that's the thing too. I find even when we're doing Facebook parties, I always make every effort to tell my host, these are your friends and family. Same as if we're at this on location or home party. These are your friends and family. You know them best. So I need to make sure that you're engaging with me during this party so that your friends and family will engage with me too. Because sometimes they're hesitant because they're like, I don't know you. And what are you going to try to sell me? So they're hesitant, right, on Facebook because they're like, I don't know you. But when you're in person with these people, like I said, if your host is interacting with you, they become comfortable, the setting becomes comfortable, and then things go really good. So I really like that idea. That's a good idea, Jason.
And then loaners go very far too. I've had a lot of where I've loaned somebody a warmer and a couple different scents, old testers or whatever, and then their family and friends are like, oh my gosh, what is that? And it turns into a party.
That's a good idea too. And that's exactly how I joined. When you said loaners, I was thinking you meant by people. See, that's how my psychological brain works. Is I'm always like loners, like people. No, loners as in warmer. That's a good idea, and like I said, that's exactly how I joined. Yes, definitely. If you can loan somebody prior to having that party a warmer, maybe even a bag for them to start collecting orders. That's another thing I forgot to mention is if somebody, what I usually do with somebody before they actually host their party is I will always get their wish list prior to them having their party. The reasoning for that is because I want to know what it is that I need to present to their friends and family to help them in getting the most free and half off products or to be able to get whatever items is on their wish list. So of course, if they say to me, okay, I want a diffuser half off and I want X amount, I want like 20 bars for free. Well, then I know that I need to start them off at the third tier in host rewards, which means that they have to have at least a $500 minimum party, okay, $500 and up. Now, if they know their friends and family and they say, you know, I'm not sure who's going to come, regardless of the situation, if they do or not, I always offer to give them a bag party as well. Because a lot of times people who don't show up, if they can smell the products, if they can take a look at the catalog in person, they're more than likely to collect those orders that they would need to be able to help them in getting at least a $500 minimum party. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Because oh no, go ahead.
Tomorrow we have a wedding to go to, and I went today to go decorate or to help decorate because it's for my sister-in-law, and the smell in the building, it's an old building, so it's not very great. So I offered to bring over the warmers I have at my house, which kind of some of them match the decoration she has. So I'm bringing over some of the scents I have on hand, and they'll be going during the wedding.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that'll be great advertisement.
Oh yes, and free, right?
Yeah, that's going to come out of my inventory, but whatever.
Right.
Hopefully we'll score good points, right?
That's great. That's really great. And I was going to make mention of too, when I was talking about giving somebody a bag party simultaneously, if somebody wants to host an online or an on location or home party. I do it the same way for my hosts as I do for people who decide that they potentially want to join my team. I feel like every opportunity that I have to set somebody up for success, if I can do it, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that they are successful. Because sometimes you never know. Jennifer was one of those good examples where I had set her up with a bag party. She also did a Facebook party. And then before we got ready to close it out is when she decided that she wanted to join. And that was a surprise. Of course, I asked her, but that's why I said a lot of times that could happen. But what we're doing when we're doing those kinds of things for people who might be potential team members is that we're teaching them that duplication, right? And when they go on to do the same for their hosts, they're teaching them in the same manner. So that's kind of what we want to see that down the road with, like I said, hosts, potential team members, and even people within our downline. Did anybody else have anything that they wanted to add? No? Okay. Well, thank you guys again. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys coming on tonight. I hope you guys have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And I look forward to seeing some of you guys at Reunion if you guys are going to be joining us if you're not here in the KC metro area. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.